First of all, I really want to come to Bahia. So the next time I'm in Brazil, I want to come, and I want to come to the university as well. I so a number of things for me. The first is that most people who say that are not saying that in good faith, because anybody who really understands what feminism is knows that it's not about division. It's about justice. It's about nobody who acknowledges the history of the world can say that women have not been excluded. Women have been excluded because they're women. So often when I have conversations with my friends who are Black men, and they say these things, I find it surprising because I think we can actually draw a parallel with racism. And so sometimes friends of mine will say things like, a woman was raped, and they'll say, well, what was she wearing? And I think you cannot say something like that because it's very similar to when a Black man is attacked or shot, and someone says, well, why was he out late? Or why didn't he take his hands off the steering wheel? Or, stupid reasons that are made up to justify prejudice and to justify discrimination. And so, when I talk about feminism, it's also important, I think, to make it clear that it's not about taking away rights from any group. It's about giving rights to a group that doesn't have rights. And I use examples. Because I'm a storyteller, I really believe in the power of storytelling. I think that stories have much more power than theory. Because when you're trying to convince a person, if you tell a story, it stays with them. So I use stories. I'll, here in Nigeria, for example, actually, I went out with my husband earlier today, and we came across about 7 different people. 7 of them said, good morning, sir, to my husband. None of them said good morning to me. Men don't notice these little things, but when you start to point it out to them, then they start to see. In Nigeria, you have many jobs where women are told, well, you're a woman, you can't get the job because, you have to take care of your children and your husband, and the job requires you to travel, or the job requires you to end late. You're not asking the woman what she wants. You're making the assumption that because she's a woman, she's somehow incapable of doing that job. So really, for me, it's that I focus on storytelling. And I also, because I want to be heard, right? Because I want to reach people. I want to try and change people's minds. And so because of that, it means having to somehow, I don't know how to put this, it's not so much control as it is to channel my anger. So I don't start off with anger, even though sometimes I'm very angry. But anger alienates people. And so when I'm trying to convince a person, I sort of, I put my anger in my pocket for a little while. And I try to be very factual, and I try to use stories. Because the truth is that feminism is necessary for the world. If we want justice in the world, we all have to embrace feminism. And the whole point for me of feminism is that we get to a point where we don't need feminism anymore, right? We get to a point where women are allowed to be full human beings. I mean, it seems so obvious, but all over the world, it's just not happening. Where we allow women to have rights, where we allow women to have full autonomy over their bodies, over their choices, where we do not judge women for the things that we don't judge men for. So a woman, it often will be called arrogant. She's just confident. A man who is exactly like her would be called confident. When we get to that place in the world where we're not judging women harshly, where we're not having higher standards for women, where women are not held back from opportunities because they're women, then we won't need feminism anymore. So for me, that's the goal of feminism. And so in talking to men, I try to make that clear. But I also want to say, just to end, that there's certain criticisms of feminism that I will not respond to because I think they're not in good faith. Some people will say things just because they're not sincere, they're not genuine questions, they're not looking to understand, they just want to make trouble. And for me, the best response to that is just to ignore it.